Namaste. Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to share a quotation of Anandamayi Ma. Anandamayi Ma, a revered Indian sage. Even those words would not be adequate enough, for she was considered and is considered an avatar. There's a quotation of hers which initially to me, when I came across it, I don't know how long back, decades ago perhaps, it seemed to me like a riddle. So I would like to share this quotation with you all because I came across it recently again and it reminded me of that time when I first read it. So Anandamayi Ma says, there is no love except the love of God. Without His love, it is not possible to love people. There is no love except the love of God, and without His love, it is not possible to love people. And I would like to close this brief exploration with a quotation of Neem Karoli Baba's. Now, for someone on the bhakti path, bhakti yoga, this love of God comes very naturally. Lost in devotion, in bhajans, chanting, singing the praises of the Almighty. So, does it mean that only such people gifted with this passion and love for the divine does it mean that only for them this doorway is open? We really need to explore this. What is the deeper meaning of Anandamayi Ma's quotation? There is no love except the love of God. Without His love, it is not possible to love people. So it begets the question that if I go to temple, church, mosque, whatever it may be, or in my own home, I'm lost in the bliss and love of God, does it mean by default I would love people? Does it mean by default my relationship with people is harmonious? The answer clearly is no. I could be lost in bhakti, yet my daily living, my interactions with people, my relationships of every conceivable kind could be based on conflict. So what is Anandamayi Ma pointing to here? How do I love God if I am not inclined to love God? It is not a default setting, so to speak. Without the love of God, it is not possible to love people. So we look at this inversely. How do I get myself to love people, especially those who have troubled me? if I don't have the love of God? And what is this love being spoken about? Do I really need to love everyone? What does that mean? Loving everyone, what does it mean? Is it possible? And this is when the beautiful wisdom teaching of Advaita steps in to understand what this love in Advaita is about. Because you will agree with me that if Advaita means not two, that would be the highest expression of love. If I consider nothing as apart from myself, would not that be the highest expression of love? So here we go on this brief exploration where we conclude very simply that everyone I meet in life, first my hardwired karmic relationships, which is family, extended family, then friends, my relationship with my spouse, partner, if I have one, my relationship with people at work, my acquaintances, and people I don't know. When I see through the lens of not two, Advait means not two, appears as two, but it is not. When I see that everyone is an equal instrument of the divine, like I am, designed a certain way genetically in terms of conditioning, predispositions, and nature, just like I have my own set of these parameters. But now I know that there is no independent entity who has got a power apart from God. God, the source, consciousness, totality, what can be apart from it? Because if something is apart from it, it means I have given it power. If I go and stand in front of a mirror, I have the full knowing that the reflection is of myself, of myself. The reflection does not exist unless I come before the mirror. But in daily living, this perspective is lost. And the rediscovery of this perspective is the spiritual journey. So when I see this hand of God above everyone in my life, what happens is a total acceptance of the other, whoever the other may be, the way God created them. Earlier, I was perhaps feeling they should be other than the way they are. I was perhaps trying to convince the other that they are wrong and I am right. Now I see them differently. Rather than convincing them, I just express myself should the need arise. Rather than wanting to change someone, I accept they are precisely the way the Lord created them, and whether they change or not is their destiny. So I give up this exercise of control, domination, manipulation, and so on and so forth on God's creation. This in turn means when I see the hand of God behind the person who loves me and the one who has caused me pain, when I realize this, I impersonalize it. It's no longer about persons, you see. It is no longer about personhood and persons. It is about a happening, something being expressed through one body or mind organism, something else being expressed through another body mind organism. But the same energy, the same source consciousness functions through it all. Then one could say, when I see this, my relationship is now no longer with people, but with God. With the one, not two. Advaita. Any time, as Joel Goldsmith would say, a mesmerism comes up, a mirage, the recognition is there. There is no power apart from God. Or, as Rameshji would say most often, consciousness is all there ever is. And by, I find not only am I more accepting of people and myself the way I have been made, that a natural, spontaneous compassion and love starts flowing through me. Not a forced love, which is the opposite of hate, which can turn around any time. Because this love is a non dualistic love. It is the love of not two. It is the love operating above good and evil and love and hate. It is not a love which need be expressive physically. It doesn't mean I have to go and hug everyone if that's not my nature. But within my own consciousness, I have given them a hug. Now, more importantly, the next step is realizing that whatever views and opinions I have of the other is a dialogue going on in my own consciousness. That is the content of my consciousness. So I need to ask myself, what is the content of my consciousness? And when I find by and by this total acceptance of people and the total acceptance of the will of God, wouldn't it be fair to say that my consciousness is imbued with God? Why is it imbued with God? Because my thinking mind is no longer obsessing about people and personalities. It has no longer split the human race into those for me and against me. It has no longer split family into those for me and against me, friends into those for me and against me, colleagues at work into for me and against me. This internal dialogue is burnt to ash. And when this internal dialogue of the thinking mind, which is obsessing about people and what they have done to me and what they should have done and didn't do, and so on and so forth, my consciousness is nothing but pure being, conscious presence, which operates in the here and now not in the dead past, nor in an imaginary future. So we come back to Anandamayi Ma's quote, the bliss permeated mother, Anandamayi Ma, the bliss permeated mother. There is no love except the love of God. Without His love, it is not possible to love people. Now, it makes total sense. Because, as I have said, we are no longer now loving people. We are loving God operating through people. You see, that is why I often repeat one incident which the American mystic Goldsmith, Joel Goldsmith, said, that he had figured out the realizations, the teachings of Jesus through the Gospel of St. John. But he found himself in a slight predicament. And that was, there were some people in his life he could simply not love. It was not possible because of whatever differences they had or whatever it was. So he was quite frustrated at this, exasperated. And he said, in that moment, I told God, look here, I can't love them, so you love them through me. Which basically means it was the surrender of the sense of personhood and doership. I can't do it. You do it through me. And what is God? Consciousness. So you see, these are very covert teachings. By and by, they are freeing my mind space of dualistic thinking. And by doing that, it is making me free of psychological suffering. When it makes me free of psychological suffering, I am left with pure being. I am open, I am receptive. I am no longer too quick to judge the person in front of me. Just as the baby, without the development of the ego, is pure being. Yes, my burden is I have been conditioned a certain way. But now the difference is I was on autopilot earlier, always in reaction mode to other egos, and now I'm aware of this game of life. And I do not perpetuate psychological suffering anymore like I used to because I'm aware of it. I am aware of the antics of the ego. And this light of witnessing, conscious presence, shines upon my own traits. This is, simply put, self-realization. To realize there's only one self. Many egos in operation, but only one power. It is so fascinating, this exploration. And lucky are we who are drawn to such explorations, whatever lineage, whatever teachings they may be, because it is moving us beyond the dimension of the material, and yet understanding that the material is part of the divine. The manifestation is a reflection of the source within itself, as my teacher would say, not apart from it. So it must include everybody, you see, because you cannot be self-realized and be an unhappy person. If you feel you have had the experience of the self, by all means, it is a gift. But what about deliverance? As it happened, we have to ask ourselves if we have had that experience. Or if we are still naughty, nasty, manipulative people, it is quite unlikely. And more importantly, what is the value of that experience if it does not translate into my daily living and my relationship with others? Right now is the festival of Navaratri, which comes actually twice a year. And one Pandit's son calls me every Navaratri. He's a married man, he has kids. He is perhaps 10 years younger than me. And he speaks in Hindi, and he was saying, we householders, the acid test is being a householder in a city, dealing with family, dealing with relationships. Then we know where we stand. Otherwise, if we run off to a cave somewhere above Rishikesh and are alone, that kind of sadhana is different. But where our feet are, where we stand today, right here, right now, and the degree of peace and equanimity in daily living is what anyone is left with, an ordinary seeker or a sage. So we are unable to fool ourselves. There is a spiritual cliche, which is that a particular relationship or a particular pattern will repeat itself until it is recognized. It is very true. But what does this mean until it is recognized? Let's say we have a certain pattern with a certain person. The tennis match, sending the ball back into the other court. When we realize, no matter what the appearance, that the story is in here about the other, not outside. And when we are willing up to give up identification with the story that has been created with this other who has been troubling me, then the pattern stops. So, this self exploration, what is the dialogue in my mind about this person that I am constantly perpetuating and rekindling? And I will find, if I'm honest with myself, there is a sense of identification with the story with this person. You see, there's this phrase called the joy of suffering. What? The joy of suffering? How can there be? There is. Do look it up. Because sometimes suffering a certain relationship tells me who I am. I am the one suffering. It has reinforced my identity. It has come in through the back door. So, what are these stories I'm carrying within me about people and what they are supposed to have done? And then I will end on the Neem Karoli Baba quote, which complements Anandamayi Ma's, where he says, all religions are the same. They all lead to God. Full stop. God is everybody. You can't exclude the other. In your quest for God, you cannot exclude the other because it means you have missed the point. We are in it together. You and me are in this journey together, whether you like it or not, whether you are aware of it or not. The person who loves you tomorrow and the person who troubles you tomorrow is equally part of the same journey. What journey? Not to. Does it mean I get walked over? Certainly not. It only means there's a recognition which leads to the annihilation of the thinking mind, which was full of blame, condemnation, jealousy, envy, ill will, spite, guilt, shame, pride, arrogance, and so on. It only leads to that. Yet, now I still have to do that which I think and feel I should do. But the beauty is when this entire garbage has been knocked out, I find my guns are no longer trained at individuals who did things to me. I find I'm no longer reacting unconsciously. Rather, I am responding objectively to the situation I find myself placed in. That is all. Except I am at peace with the happening. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean there won't be pain. But that will be pain in the moment without a story. What we do is, like you would see in the olden movies, when you wash clothes and put them out to dry on these long ropes, that is our story on display. This is the end of that long rope on which all my clothes are hung to dry. I'm here today, gone tomorrow. You're here today, gone tomorrow. Both of us are knocked off in deep sleep. So, who and what are we really? Isn't it a cosmic joke? And when you recognize this joke, next time someone irritates you, antagonizes you, or troubles you, you might just burst out laughing. Preferably not on their faces because that would agitate them more, but perhaps once they are gone. It's absolutely crazy. All right. If anyone would like to share something, ask something, you are more than welcome to now. Yes, sir, Riva. I can't hear you. I think you have to be unmuted. And unless I was supposed to do that. Sorry. Asked to unmute. Can you say?
Now?
Yes, Riva. I have met you before, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And at that time, I spoke about the pain caused by the original family.
Yes.
And it's still a theme. And when you speak, when you were reading what you were reading, and when you speak, I can thoroughly accept and feel the truth in the words. And then when I test my person or the idea, I put my mother there. And then, of course, it has this challenge that is so difficult to accept that we are one. And I feel that my spiritual journey has been going on for very long. And it's like, in a way, I feel I'm going in the other direction, that the truth and the experiences, which of course are momentary, they are at that time, but I was feeling it more then. Now it's so much coming back to the pain. It's so much pain coming up, which makes it extremely difficult in the moment to accept the pain and accept the truth of where we come from and whatever we are, that we are one. I can hear it and feel it when you say it, but at the same time, I cannot thoroughly accept it into. I make my mother, some people, and outside myself, because I don't want it to.
Of course.
And that also stops me from the magic, you can say.
Understood. See, Reva, there are people who don't even recognize the truth. You say that you recognize it, but sometimes it is very hard to see that in daily living.
Yeah.
To me, that is the first act of grace. You see, this pain, we have been allotted pain in our lifetime. And we have all come with hardwired conditioning, absolutely hardwired. So, if our destiny is that there is family pain, family karma, that is the will of God. Or if you don't even want to use the words will of God, that is what is. And I find that I'm not able to rise above certain things and mitigate the pain. Even I have to see my helplessness in that. That is why my teacher would say the seeing is the only doing necessary. So the pain will be there till it is meant to be there. Of course, the wish is it is not there, but I'm trying my best, it's not working. So be it. What can I do? Keep trying, so be it. But since the truth has been recognized, how and that when that truth will work itself through my life, that is grace. So I think we need to consider our glass half full and not half empty, because someone who has not recognized what has been recognized by you would be leading a life of a lot of psychological suffering, far more than yours. But as you have said, certain relationships, certain pain, you are not able to bring it into this realization. And all I would say is free yourself of this burden and allow that to work itself out through this situation you find yourself in. Not my will, O Lord, but thine be done. That recognition needs to be given some space. The ego needn't try too hard. Yes, it does show earnestness, but at some point, when the realization is, I cannot force myself out of this painful relationship dynamic, that is when surrender happens. And so, my only suggestion is not to be too hard on yourself. This is not some feel good therapy. It is really true, and I mean it, that you have tried your best, you recognize the truth. Let it go now. That is what surrender is. We have seen it in Egyptian hieroglyphs. We have seen it in the police force all over the world make you put your hands up. And that hands up means above the mind. The mind has its limitations. It tries to control, dominate, wants a certain outcome. Now, hands up. And when I have given up trying, I leave the matter to grace. Now it's your job. Not my will, O Lord, but thine be done.
Yes.
Okay, Reva. Thank you. Good to see you here. Yes, Praveen, I can't see you. Are you there?
Yes, something wrong with my video, I guess so. Yeah. So
I hope
Pranam,
so, unless you're resting in the void.
no, not really, not really. I my video, I don't know. I put it on, but I'm not visible for myself itself.
Okay,
Okay.
actually, normally, given that we got hacked last time, my team said not to speak to anyone who's invisible, but let's take our chances.
Okay, you can trust me. Okay, so Pranam, Gautam, and Namaste to all my co-participants. This is the first time I'm talking to you. So, first of all, thank you. This topic that you have taken up today is really something that we work on a day-to-day, life, and this challenge continues to be on a daily basis. Now,
Actually, Praveen, I just realized that if I have to see a blank screen, I don't need my spectacles. So maybe henceforth, everyone can put their
I don't.
camera.
Yeah, I'll get.
No, go
I'll,
on, go on.
So before I took up Advaita study and and understanding that yes, we all are one of the same consciousness. Whenever somebody used to be nasty to me, I had a huge impulse to get back to them in a big way and make sure that they get I give them back extremely hard way. Okay, but after this Advaita thing, I after learning all these aspects of various aspects of Advaita, I realized one aspect: I'm now quite immune to any kind of nasty colleagues or people, relatives, and all that. I can easily manage them by merely letting go the entire thought process of getting back to them or understanding where they come from and understanding their sanskar and my sanskar and all those things. And so there is no challenge on that front. But the real challenge is that I recognized in a couple of last few months is that that the real challenge lies within my family. If I have my I love my son, I love my family, wife, or everyone, but the expectation along with love, the expectation of my to make them do a certain thing, my son especially, if he doesn't do things as per my expectation, I become extremely nasty. And when my expectation don't meet up, there is no short of love or anything between both of us. But my expectation with him is a teenager, and my expectation with him is very high. He should do things in such a manner. He should study. He should do his daily routine in such a manner, and that is where I face continuous challenge, because my expectation with my son, the person whom I love the most, is too high. And he being a teenager, the conflict continues, and every day then I have to beat a fast retreat and go back to my place, to my room sad. So how do I come over this expectation? I am not able to overcome that challenge.
Yes,
That's
Praveen. I mean, I'm sure you've echoed the sentiments of most parents,
yes,
but
sir.
you ended by saying that you are sad. What about the son?
He is also terribly sad,
Exactly. You
and he
see?
become he come and he's a very sensitive guy, and and every time I feel very guilty making him sad.
Yes. Yet you can't help making him sad and you can't help making yourself sad.
Right.
So, does this mean I continue making him sad and making myself sad? Or rather, does it mean exploring who is this person who has such high expectations of his son?
Hmm.
You see, what has to be explored here? That is why my teacher would say parents need to understand deep down that their children come with their own destinies. What you
Hmm.
are doing is putting a chokehold on your child, that the child should be a certain way and behave a certain way. Why?
Okay.
Because perhaps you were conditioned a certain way by
Right.
your parents,
Yes.
you see. So, who is this Praveen and what right does he have to inflict such high standards of expectations on the person he calls his son? This has to be asked. All parents wish well for their children, wish their children excel, and so on and so forth. We are not questioning all that. After all, the child's first gurus are the parents because the parents teach the child.
Hmm.
But when I realize what has this become, the poison of domination and control, because it is my son. I don't
Right.
care about someone else's son. I'm not interested how well they do.
Very right.
Me and mine. Is it yours? Is your son truly yours? Or is your son a divine instrument like you are, in whom no different consciousness functions?
Hmm.
And is this recognized, or rather recognized, as I say? Is it
Hmm.
recognized?
Okay.
You see, that is why there was a beautiful story of one mother who went to the great swan, Ramakrishna Paramhans. And
Hmm.
of course, I'm simplifying the story. And she said, basically, I think I've got it. I've reached the final spiritual destination. He said, you haven't. Don't fool yourself. She said, what do you mean? He asked her, do you consider everyone else's children as your own? She said, certainly not. My son is my son. So he said, when you consider others' children as your own, then let's talk of self realization. So, this me and mine, my expectations, my wish, my this, my that. And that is why, if you don't mind me saying, I asked you this. You said, I am sad. What about the other? He is sad too, afterthought. This is how the me works, you see. It is so obsessed with itself that it walks all over the other. My happiness, I will be happy if my son excels.
Right.
Who wouldn't be happy? Any parent would be happy. But am I destroying the child's peace and my own? Am I trying to push for a result whereas the child does not have that aptitude?
Right.
And I use this example often because it really hurt me in school. There was this friend of ours who was not bright in studies. And I'm sure it is not allowed today. But in that day, in the year perhaps 1983 or 84, I can't remember, he was made to stand up on the desk and was told by the teacher, you have failed in this subject, you will be a failure for life. Can you imagine the damage done on this boy? who the hell are you as the teacher to pronounce judgment on a student whose destiny is in the hands of the Lord Almighty?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I hope that helps perhaps seeing this relationship in a new light.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I'm sorry if I've been a bit strong on this, but I think we really need to sometimes wake up from this living dream of life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, Praveen, thank you
Thank
for
you.
asking this question, because I'm sure many parents will resonate with this brief discussion that we have had.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Yes, Meera.
Hi, Gautam. Namaste. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
There was a bit of a tech issue, sorry. And hi to everybody. Gautam, this topic is very apt because I've had a family dynamic happening which really goes down into the total acceptance of the other, acceptance of myself, the dynamic which is not a creation of either of us. So upon contemplating, I realized that it's better to stay away. It's family, but nevertheless, earlier I was forcing myself to meet them every day, fulfill the expectations of a daughter by being with them every day. But it was causing a lot of psychological suffering to both me and them because a lot of the patterns, a lot of the conflicts arise. So, so the solution I've arrived at is go once a week, spend a few hours in peace as much as possible, come back. And that's the best way I've been able to practice peace and compassion for them as well as me. Now, when you talked about the acid test, I was wondering if I'm running away. Of course, if they have a medical condition, they need me to be there to take care of them, I'll be there. But on a daily basis, just to socialize, I don't think it's helping neither of our cases. So I'm wondering if I'm running away or doing the right thing from a compassionate and peaceful lens for all involved.
Yes, that is actually fairly quite simple. If I have absolved the family of doing things to me and I'm internally at peace, then I will know that I am not running away. But if I feel that I'm running away from something because I have imbued it with power and it's better to stay away, it could mean it is not resolved. Now, what you described about meeting them once a week and all is beautiful, which means you have come to a balance. You feel too much is destroying your peace, too less doesn't work for you because you'll be there when they're ill and all that stuff. That is the Buddha's middle path. The only thing to ask ourselves is, within my own consciousness, have I absolved them of all responsibility for doing things to me? Let's first deal with ourselves first. Or do I find, no, I still have these, I can see the uh, claws coming at me because I've imbued them with power of doing things to me. These I have to ask myself. But once I have realized that certain relationships are not meant to be harmonious, no matter how much I'm trying, there's nothing wrong in staying away. As long as that staying away is not because it is an unresolved relationship. The resolution must be there, at least within myself. Then I find my peace, and more importantly, I don't have a harmful thought for those who are troubling me. That is very important, to ask myself, do I have any harmful thoughts which I'm harboring towards them? Because if that is so, then it means the teaching hasn't gone into the heart. Now, what does that mean? That means that it is still in process. Work in process, work in progress. Gradual is better than sudden, because sudden can revert back to pain and suffering. So, not to be disheartened, not to be disheartened that the teaching hasn't been taken to heart. Thy will be done. Yet, being open, realizing every encounter is an exploration to see where I stand with the teaching. Every encounter with certain people in the family is to see my triggers. Are they as imbued with power as I used to imbue them with power? Everything is a learning, Meera. It is a learning. Everything is appropriate as it is. This is the karmic journey. This is the karmic blueprint. Two people come together. They may not vibrate at the same frequency. But as I say, it takes only one in a tennis match to put the racket down, which Goldsmith referred to as laying down your sword. What is this sword? This is the sword of battle and conflict with the other who is against me. That drops. I might yet have to be pragmatic, figure out how to tackle this relationship like you are doing, once a week, twice a week. But is this battle within my own head resolved? That is what I am concerned with. The other may keep troubling me. How do I know? But every time this raises its head, I can recognize it. Not to. It is an appearance by all means. It is an appearance. But I have seen it for the appearance that it is and not for reality. The Rinanubandhan, the strongest Rinanubandhans are those who have caused us grief, loss, upset us. Rinanubandhan, the cosmic debt of a prior birth, according to the Indian concept of Rinanubandhan. We don't know what karmic blueprints we come with. It is pointless to see what troubles came from where. Better we focus in this life, today, here and now, and the relationships I have to navigate. And I'm concerned with my peace of mind. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Are you back in India or are you abroad?
I have not left yet. I'm leaving next week.
Left from India?
I'm here in India. I've been in India since January. I'm leaving next week to Germany. Then I'll be back
Okay.
again in June. I'll be there for your next retreat.
Great. Yes, Shiksha.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a question actually. So basically, what happened with me is I was little bit of kind of like inclined toward meditation and all the kind of spiritual things from the beginning itself, but it was not that intense. But due to a lot of suffering in past 5 years in my life, which pushed me towards seeking for peace within, like all the kind of sufferings I felt, and then it pushed me towards doing meditation or doing japa or doing some puja. But I still feel little bit kind of not doing it consistently. So it came to my mind that do we, like, I jumped into spirituality because of the bad things that happened to me. Because of that, I wanted to seek the truth. Or is it, does this happen with every beginner? Like, or I think that somehow I have skipped many parts and I just jumped into this, and I still have left with a lot of karmic debt that I have to pay, because somewhere I also feel that I cannot forgive all the things that has happened that has caused pain towards me, though I'm working on it. but still sometimes it is very difficult. So I feel sometimes that I have jumped towards it. I have not come with the process. So is it so, or every beginner feels like this?
Everyone in life who experiences loss in some form, setbacks, or as Ramana
Yes,
Maharshi said, blows, early blows in life,
yes, yes,
eventually comes on to the spiritual journey. Why? Because you realize how fickle and transient the material world is. Here today, gone
yes,
tomorrow. Setbacks
yes.
make us come on to the spiritual journey according to a divine script. We were destined to have those setbacks. So you cannot jump. You have been made to jump. You have been given those setbacks. You have been made to come on to a spiritual journey, whether it is japa, meditation, whatever has come your way. The only difference is now you have heard a teaching which says that beyond your japa and your practice, relook at your relationships, daily living. And
Yes,
so,
yes,
as you rightly say, in doing that, it is work in progress. And when I see my shortcomings, I feel I had jumped into meditation and japa. Nobody has jumped anywhere. Everything is as it was meant to be, including now the recognition that although I started meditating, doing japa, this part was not resolved, which I am looking at now. It is so beautifully perfect as it is.
okay, okay. So, but
And seeing that
on,
I am not able to navigate my way through certain situations is also God's will.
maybe there is more learning to it.
There's always.
Yes,
We are in the school
uh,
of life.
yes. Sir, how can I put myself towards consistency in this procedure actually? I am sometimes being very drawn towards materialism, though I don't have much interest left in material world. But the profession and all the kind of stuff I'm in right now, and for my future, it is needed. What I feel sometimes. But when I go into meditation and japa and all the peaceful things, I feel to left everything out. I don't feel like doing anything else in this world anymore. But this is kind of like to and fro motion is going on. That how can
And
I resolve this?
see, things happen when they are meant to happen. You can do both. Do your work and do your japa. See that the time assigned for japa and meditation does not clash with the rest of the day. It's very simple. And then let that source decide when you should drop what. Rather than you taking the decision about the material world, I should give it up, so and so forth. It will drop precisely when it is meant to drop. It doesn't need your help. Regarding the practice, if you have taken japa or meditation, my only suggestion is a fragmented practice will give fragmented results. For example, in meditation, what happens is your body, the biorhythm gets set a certain way to meditate at a certain fixed time of the day. If you meditate at different times, haphazard, no format, you're not helping yourself. If you choose a fixed time, you will find that even before you sit, you're going into a meditative state because the body clock takes over. So any practice which anyone is following, whether it is Kriya Yoga, whether it is Kundalini Yoga, whether it is Japa Yoga, whether it is meditation, it helps to have a disciplined practice. It is helping oneself.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Yes, Suresh.
Hari Om, Gautam ji.
Hari Om.
Uh, a great session, and glad to see many people have similar experiences. So you feel not alone in this journey. And so I did, have a similar situation, which I adopted your teaching of acceptance and putting the sword down. And lo and behold, the pattern stopped. So I was very glad. It's almost like you teach people how they should behave with you, in a way. And then it was good to hear you point out some aspects of how you can check if this is working or not. Are you feeling at peace? Are you not, disrupted? Things like that. So that is awesome. My question for you today is the teaching of Joel Goldsmith, where you said, the predicament he had, where he said, some people he could not love. I cannot love them. So God, you do it through me. So apart from having the thought process and openness of acknowledging it and allowing God free reign through you, just from a thought perspective, is there anything else beyond that you should facilitate for it to happen?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense, I will use another Goldsmith example, which I have used before, that when he became successful as a healer, he started receiving many gifts. But he said with each gift that he received, he had the full and complete knowing that the person was not giving him the gift, but to God. Now, what does this mean? It means the recognition that the me is just the conduit for the healing to happen. That was constant. So being aware of this all the time, you could say it is a form of sadhana also, to constantly reference back to this till it becomes a lived experience. But the downside is it should not become hard work. We are working hard enough already. We don't need to have a sadhana where we grade ourselves that have passed, failed, and all that. Forget it. Every time to just see this recognition that whether it is the other or myself, what is being given and what is being taken is your one hand giving the other hand. That is all. So that is why I said yes and no.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suresh. So we'll take one last question, and that is Virana. Yes, Virana.
Hi Gautam ji,
Hi.
it's an honor to speak to you. So I have been watching your discourses since last 4 5 years. Yeah, I have a question that if everything is a will of God, then the crimes that are happening in the society, the something as inhuman as rapes and all, so must be the will of God if we accept the statement that everything happens as per the will of God, correct?
Correct. What would you feel is the answer?
Yeah, it must be because if that statement is true, if the first statement is true, then it must be the will of God. So then, what can be the like if we say like God is all kind, compassionate and all, so how it justifies that particular thing, something as inhuman as the rapes and all?
Yes, and this is precisely the Maya and the Leela. Which god would want rapes, murders, and wars to happen? I agree with you completely. It's just unfathomable. How can this be the will of God? And why has it happened? Because it is God's will. What a predicament we find ourselves in. But when we realize and see that all that we have spoken about now, wars, rapes, murders, are one end of the polarity of good and evil, then we realize that the same source, the same consciousness functions through saints and sages, through the good. These are recognitions of the polaric opposites. And then we realize that all this negativity which is on the planet is a distorted worldview of us versus them, we versus the other. If the realization was had by everyone, would there be any wars? Would there be any crimes? Why would you want to have hurt someone and do a criminal act? If you truly had a sense of felt oneness with being, you wouldn't want to hurt anyone. But why do some people want to hurt others? Because they have been lost in what Goldsmith calls the carnal mind. They have been conditioned that way. They have been programmed that way. Why? So that this play of consciousness moves forward. And by and by, for example, the yugas, Satya Yuga, the Yuga of truth, when consciousness has reached that level of awareness, where everyone is imbued with truth consciousness, as per the divine will, in that era, these will not happen. So it is very painful, especially for someone on the spiritual path, to see all this destruction and hate in the world. This teaching is not a license for that. This is not saying allow that because it is the will of God. All it is saying is God represents polarities of every conceivable kind. And when we start impersonalizing evil, as Goldsmith says, impersonalizing evil, forget murderers and all, take the people in your own life. The one who you consider is your troublemaker, the one who has hurt you and pushed your buttons the most. Deal with that relationship and have the courage to impersonalize the act instead of hooking it on the person all the time. You will find if that happens, and when that happens, you are the one at peace.
But finally, the acceptance that this is an will of God, and accepting everything as one, like feeling of oneness, that also happens as per the act of God, right? Will of
Yes.
God.
Yes.
The accepting the teachings that the Advaita masters are giving, and so that acceptance finally happens as per the will of God. Finally.
Yes. Yes. That is why my teacher would say an atheist cannot be an atheist unless it is God's will. Amazing. Okay, we'll just sit in silence for 2 minutes. The famous poet Paul Eluard said, "There is another world, but it is this one." The kingdom of heaven is here. The kingdom of heaven is to realize there are no others. And hell is to believe they are. The kingdom of God is within me, and where I stand is on holy ground when I contemplate the presence and power of God within me and others. Then the ground is holy.